Hey guys, today we're doing previewing a book by Pete Walker. And this book is called The Tao of Fully Feeling, Harvesting Forgiveness Out of Blame. Again, the author is Pete Walker, and I hope that this preview of the prologue and chapter 1 invites you to explore the possibility that you haven't been exploring your feelings, and that this ignites in you the space to be able to do so, at least to begin to do so if you've never done so before, because it is that would allow you to fully embody yourself and hence your life. Here we go. There are all too many spiritual leaders and cognitive behavior psychologists pointing us in the wrong direction by insisting we can and should eliminate unpleasant feelings. Many New Age leaders erroneously proffer the concept of enlightenment as if it were a permanently attainable, pain-free state. Yet in my 25 years of spiritual practice and 20 years of psychological exploration, I have yet to meet a guru, therapist, teacher, or devotee who has achieved permanently blissful state and who no longer experiences occasional bouts of emotional pain. How sad is it to see so many still chasing this illusionary carrot and continuously scorning themselves for not attaining it. Please understand that I am not in any way devaluing the wonderful gifts that are available with effective spiritual practice. Rather, I am trying to expose the fallacy that spiritual practice can do away with the necessity of emotional practice. And on that note, let me let my kitty cat out. Go ahead. We cannot be healthy human beings without accepting and experiencing the full range of human emotions. Perhaps I am misinformed about this, and maybe there are some rare souls that are out there who truly embody permanent enlightenment or unshakable happiness. Maybe the newest avatar of the latest derivative of the EST training. I don't know what EST is. My friend told me, but I have already forgotten. Perhaps the newest avatar of the latest derivative of the EST training has a formula for truly achieving total mastery for the emotional nature. Maybe walking on hot coals without feeling pain, as participants do in the latest popular weekend seminar, proves that we should, quote unquote, be able to transcend other less intense emotional forms of pain. However, since I've yet to see anything but hubris or a foolish amount of pride in those who claim they have found heaven here on earth, it strikes me that the odds of attaining impenetrable or very calm bliss are extremely poor. How grateful am I that I have finally come to understand R.D. Lane's wise pronouncement, quote, "The only pain that can be avoided is the pain that comes from trying to avoid unavoidable pain." I now know that the lion's share of my past emotional pain, well over 90% of it, came from the myriad ways I was taught to hate, numb, and run away from my feelings. The greatest turning point in my life was supplanting my quest for permanent happiness and transcendence with a stubborn willingness to be there for myself in every feeling state. The rewards of this have been wondrous. Sometimes my tears are like jewels that reflect resplendent colorfulness into my life. My anger now comes as a gentle flame that warms me with an ever-increasing passion for life. My fear is sometimes a beacon that illuminates new pathways for me to follow into a wider appreciation of life. My envy shows me that I still yearn to develop in myself. I have even found wonders in depression. Depression sometimes calls me into stillness, liberates me from crucifixion on the clock of time, invites me into an ever-deepening place of peace within myself, and allows me to rest inside my body as if it were the most luxurious easy chair imaginable. And grieving, particularly when it is intense, delivers me into a sleep so deep that I feel as if I am a dormant seed safely hidden in the rich loam of Mother Earth with nothing to do but wait for the rays of the sun to awaken me. The willingness to fully feel bestows a liberating emotional flexibility on us. I continually marvel at how allowing myself to feel bad resolves that feeling and restores me to feeling good much more quickly than resisting it ever did. Our feelings vitalize and enrich us to the degree that we accept them in their full diversity. Now is the time to renounce stultifying or to cause to become slow allegiances to TV heroes who encourage us to monotonously hum singular tunes of toughness, coolness, sweetness, or forced frivolity or lack of being serious. Our emotions are our own music, and no monotone or three-note ditty can create in us any fervor for being alive. We become symphonies when we reclaim all the notes of the emotional scale. I have been on a long, mapless journey back to feeling, and I hope the map I present here provides you with a shortcut in your emotional recovery. I hope you will discover some of the riches I describe herein, and that you will be enlivened by a broader emotional experience of life. I pray that you will find the sense of belonging and fulfillment that comes from being emotionally free with yourself and your intimates. Chapter 1. The importance of recovering the whole emotional nature. Feeling tells us how and to what extent a thing is important to us. That's a quote from Carl Jung. America is a nation of emotional orphans. Adult children grew up without effective parents. Tens of millions of our friends, neighbors, spouses, and lovers had childhoods where their parents were not emotionally there for them. That's a quote from Dennis Holey. Feelings and emotions are energetic states that do not magically dissipate when they are ignored. Much of our unnecessary emotional pain is the distressing pressure that comes from not releasing emotional energy. When we do not attend to our feelings, they accumulate inside us and create a mounting anxiety that we commonly dismiss as stress. Stress is not... And Kitty wants back in. Hold on, please. Kitty, there you are. Stress is not merely a detrimental psychological reaction to nauseous external stimuli such as noise, pollution, commuting, long work hours, and the hustle and bustle. Stress is also a painful internal pressure of accumulative emotional energy. Grieving, explored at length herein, is the most effective stress release mechanism that human beings have. Grieving is a safe, healthy release valve for our internal pressure cookers of emotion. I have had numerous experiences of feeling as if I were about to explode that were immediately discharged with a good cry. I see others obtain the same wonderful relief almost daily in my work and private practice. We suffer many dire consequences when we are unwilling to feel, The price of emotional repression is a constant, wasteful expenditure of energy that leaves many of us depressed and tending to be quiet, perpetually inebriated, or to make very weak or tired. More and more of us sink into the apathy and lack of spirit of interest of the seen that, been there, done that syndrome. When this occurs, we forfeit our destiny of growing into the vitally expressive and life celebratory beings we were born to be. Our war on feelings forces our emotions to turn against us. Much of our unnecessary suffering is caused by the ghosts of our murdered emotions wafting into consciousness and haunting us as hurtful thinking. Denied emotions taint our thoughts with fearful worry, dour self-doubt, and angry self-criticism. We also risk acting out our emotions unconsciously when we are unwilling to feel them. That's always a train wreck, isn't it? Sarcasm, criticality, habitual lateness, and forgotten commitments are common unconscious expressions of anger. Ironically, these passive-aggressive behaviors leave us in even greater emotional pain because they cause others to distrust and dislike us. The epidemic of overeating, over-medicating, and overworking that plague America are also rooted in our mass retreat from feeling. When we are feeling phobic or afraid of feelings, we are compelled to distract ourselves from our emotions with mood-altering substances, workaholism, or constant busyness. Many of us, as Ann Wilson Schaaf points out in the book When Society Becomes an Addict, are addicted to at least one self-destructive substance or process. Ironically, our distractions typically add to the underlying pain we are trying to avoid. With chronic use, they eventually do grave damage to our bodies. Our frenzied pace and use of chemicals, prescribed, illicit, or over-the-counter, numb us so thoroughly that we often don't feel their debilitating effects until we are seriously ill. We have become so resistant to feeling pain that we are continuously inventing new ways to feel. The widespread narcotization of housewives with Valium in the 50s and 60s set a precedent for the current mushrooming anesthesiation of both sexes with modern antidepressants. Drugs like Prozac, Zoloft, and Paxil are currently being used as designer drugs, and many general practitioners with little psychiatric training liberally prescribe them to anyone who complains of feeling bad. Examples of this were reported in a 1995 Frontline television special. This program documented the current widespread trend to overuse Prozac, and that was 1995, guys, and focused on a Washington state psychologist who prescribed Prozac for 100% of his clients and who wouldn't treat new clients unless they take Prozac. On camera, he told one prospective client, quote, "Your true self is not available to you without this medication," end quote. Unfortunately, I meet more and more therapists who immediately recommend Prozac to their clients without first exploring grieving as an antidote to depression and stress. In the war that our culture wages against feeling, emotions are becoming an endangered species. We are ubiquitously besieged by familial and societal expectations to be cool. The pose of acting as if nothing can hurt or affect us has insidiously become our model of health and evolution. Many of us have become so cool that we are emotionally cold, and chillingly aloof. In the words of Robert Bly, quote, "The covering up of painful emotions inside us has become in our country the national and private style. We have established with awesome verve the animal of denial as the guiding beast of the nation's life." End quote. Nowhere, not in our most private moments, nor in the company of our closest friends, do we feel safe to explore our feelings. Anger, depression, envy, sadness, fear, distrust, etc. are all as integral to life as bread and flowers in the streets. Yet these feelings commonly invoke shame and dread in us the moment they arise. Whether we do that to ourselves or whether someone else, trained as this book describes, makes us feel ashamed for feeling. Even in those of us who are stalwart or a true supporter in the face of every other life contingency, when it comes to those feelings of anger or shame or distrust or fear, we just won't look at it, or we won't allow others to show that to us. We take it personal. Those who dare to express feelings that are anything but positive are increasingly seen as pitiful and unevolved for not choosing more exalted states. What a terrible abandonment of the natural human inclination still extant in non-industrialized pockets of the world to offer compassion to an anguished friend, a shoulder to cry on, and permission to have a good bitch and moan are disappearing sacraments of industrialized societies. In our culture, empathy, at its best, is advising our aggrieved friends to, quote, look on the bright side, end quote, and to remember that, quote, it could be worse, end quote. This contrasts with tribal New Guinea, where men and women alike participate wholeheartedly in annual festivals of grieving. All day long they hold and comfort each other as they cry about the loss of the truly halcyon or very happy and successful days of their childhoods. I'm going to repeat that. This contrasts with the tribal New Guinea, where men and women alike participate wholeheartedly in annual festivals of grieving. All day long they hold and comfort each other as they cry about the loss of the truly halcyon days of their childhoods. We are cut off from the normal human kindness of encouraging our intimates to express their feelings so that their pain isn't locked inside and transformed into anxiety, worry, and self-disgust. Year by year, we manifest more and more of the 1969 predictions of noted psychologist Rollo May. I do believe that there is in our society a definite trend towards a state of affectlessness as an attitude toward life, a character state, end quote. Did God make a terrible mistake imbuing us with the feeling function that so distinguishes us from the robots and androids we seem to be emulating? Perhaps God is about to issue a new commandment: thou shalt not feel or express emotional pain. If so, we may all wind up in a world that is chillingly devoid of feeling. Leslie Heselton, in the book The Right to Feel Bad, describes such a world. Quote, schizophrenics know this world. They have withdrawn into it, away from the whole realm of human interaction and relationship, even in the extreme cases from the ability to feel physical as well as psychological pain. This is a state of severe emotional disturbance, yet it is very close to the currently ideal state of no negative feelings. Maybe that's why we have the current president we have. Anyway, I hope that was of use to you. Namaste to you guys, and enjoy your day. May this give you some food for thought. Adios.